Hi everyone, Father Carl here. I have the pleasure of giving a brief reflection on today's Gospel from Mark. We hear that the disciples and Jesus himself are tired and they want to take a break from the people who have been following them. And just as they are about to do so, Jesus has his heart filled with pity for the people in need, and the plans change. And the disciples learn a very important lesson, and that is sometimes we must always turn our attention from ourselves and our needs to the needs of others. So let's listen to what the gospel has to say to us today. We've been watching the sad story of the collapsed building and how those efforts of looking for bodies has continued over these past weeks. They've been digging through that massive pile of concrete and steel 24/7 for the past 3 weeks. And this work is dangerous. With every bucket full of debris that they're hauling away, the mountain of broken concrete shifts and it could collapse at any moment, harming any of the workers or volunteers. But they continue on. The hope now is recovery of those bodies that are still buried under the rubble in that unimaginable tragedy. Compassion for the families like their own, whose waiting has been unbearable. Compassion drives the volunteers day and night to carefully sort through the rubble. They work through their exhaustion for the sake of the victims and their families. Mark in our gospel reminds us of one of the important lessons Jesus taught his disciples, a lesson that each of us are reminded of. And it's a lesson that's mirrored in the dedicated work of these rescue teams in South Florida. The spirit of God's mercy and compassion is present in their work, just as it is present in the thousands of medical personnel, public personnel, and the community volunteers who have worked tirelessly to get us through the past 16 months of this COVID pandemic. So Mark doesn't tell us the many things that Jesus taught the vast crowd, but we do know the lesson he taught the 12 disciples. He taught them what their priorities should be. We hear in the gospel they're tired and hungry, and they hope to get some rest away from the town folks, some of them that they had just visited. Remember last week's gospel, Jesus sent them out to do those visits 2 by 2. And so they're tired and they're hungry, they're looking for a break. But just as it happens in our lives at times, their plans are changed in an instant. We hear that Jesus' heart is filled with pity. Compassion caused them to turn their attention away from themselves and their need for food and rest so that they could attend to the needs of strangers and offer healing and guidance. Lesson learned. I know there are times in my life when in the afternoon I'm exhausted and I need a little 10-minute break or 15-minute break. And just when I'm about to sit down or put my feet up and maybe close my eyes for a bit, the doorbell rings or I get a phone call from the office. Someone's at the door, someone's on the phone, and they want to speak to a priest. And there's always that question, do I have the energy? Can I do this now? And I always do, because that's what Jesus would do. And I'm always glad that I answered the phone or answered the door, because someone is in need of a listening ear, someone needs something blessed and they're at the door. It means something important to them. Somebody has a question that they need answered. And sometimes it's the doorbell and someone is there with a gift, an apple pie or a cake or a bottle of wine, because they want to show thankfulness for the work that we're doing and appreciation. So I'm glad that I answer the door. But we all have those moments where we need a break, we want to rest, and then the unexpected happens. How do we respond? Today I want to say thank you for the many ways that you are so good at being shepherds, good servants who answer God's call in so many different ways to build up and maintain the community here at Ascension and in your families. You manifest many ways, especially over these last months with COVID. You manifest the Spirit of God in our midst. You exemplify what a good shepherd looks like. Thank you for the ways that you have shown selfless generosity. And so today, as we reflect on this gospel and think about the lesson that Jesus has taught the disciples and us, I ask you to take time, look around your world today, and offer a prayer of thanks for those who manifest the love of God as good shepherds in your midst. And if you can, if you have the opportunity, just say thank you. Good shepherds are all around us, reminding us of just how much God is present to us and how much we are loved by God in these good shepherds.